The San Francisco 49ers mollywopped, dominated, destroyed, whatever adjective you want to use for this one. I shouldn't say from start to finish. From the second quarter on, dominated the Philadelphia Eagles and did so by a final score of 42-19. Needless to say, I didn't see this coming. As a guy who picked the Eagles, even if the Niners won this game, but it was tight, I wouldn't have been shocked. I mean, this is, again, as I keep saying, the best roster, top to bottom in the NFL. I'll talk about Philly, and in particular, Jalen Hurts in about 10 to 12 minutes, because I think people are wildly overreacting, maybe not necessarily the Eagles, but certainly to Jalen. I'll get into that in about 10 minutes. But for the 49ers first. So because this is a very layered sort of thing. So I go back to what I've said since the offseason, heck, really since last season, because it hasn't changed that much. Matter of fact, it's even more so the case with the Christian McCaffrey trade that happened in the middle of last season. This is the best roster top to bottom by far, not even close in the NFL. Philadelphia has a fantastic roster, as do the Baltimore Ravens. I think those are 2 and 3. You can argue Dallas. You can argue other teams out there. The Chiefs are great defensively and have 2 phenomenal players. Offensively, more of the Chiefs later in the show. There simply is no equal to this 49ers team in terms of talent. And it's why I said when they did what they did to the Cowboys way back in week 5 in San Francisco, I said, I think this team has the potential to be the greatest team ever in the Super Bowl era. That's not to say they go undefeated. They won't be like the 2007 Patriots that came one game away from immortality. It's not the case. And I moved off this a little bit after they lost those 3 straight games. It's like, okay, team loses 3 straight. It's hard to call them one of the greatest teams ever. Hall of Fame head coach. Kyle Shanahan's going to the Hall of Fame, y'all. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame running back. Christian McCaffrey is going to go to the Hall of Fame one day. Hall of Fame tight end in George Kittle. I don't think any of us would argue he's going to be in Canton one day. The best, I have been saying this religiously on my show, the best all-around offensive player in all of football by the name of Deebo Samuel. Let's see what Deebo did yesterday. Let's check what he did. Oh, yeah, he's pretty good. 4 catches for $116, 2 touchdowns, and then 3 carries for 22 yards and another touchdown. So Mr. Deebo, got 3 tutties on the day. Congratulations to him. Exposing the Eagles secondary. I'll get to that later in the show. You've got an offensive line that has, and this isn't even I don't think any of us would debate this, one of the greatest left tackles to ever play the game in Trent Williams, who was fantastic yesterday. Defensively, Hall of Fame talent with Nick Bosa, as well as some Pro Bowl, all-pro level players, Eric Armstead, guys like Hargraves, Chase Young, 2 Hall of Fame level linebackers, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, that was a ridiculous ejection. I'm just going to tell you right now, crazy that Greenlaw was kicked out. And even the secondary, Javarius Ward's a Pro Bowl level player. Now, they did lose Talanoa Hufanga, you guys know I rave about. Love the kid. Trained with my man Troy Polamalu. Done for the season, unfortunately, with an injury. But yet and still, top to bottom, about as good of a roster as there is in all of football. I will continue to say what I've been saying about Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy is considered the weak link of this team, then yes, it is very much in the discussion as one of the best ever. Let's check Brock Purdy's stats for the season and more on Brock's MVP candidacy. But sturdy Purdy, pretty good. 23 touchdowns, 6 picks, best QBR in the league, best passer rating in the league, best completion percentage in the league. That'll work. This is why I argued dating back to early this season, even last year, he's just Jimmy G 2.0. I said, if you think he's Jimmy G 2.0, you're simply not watching the games. Better arm than Jimmy G, more mobile than Jimmy G, better decision maker than Jimmy G, and more trust in the coaching staff than Jimmy G. This is a kid whose arm talent is not off the charts. Really, there's nothing about Brock Purdy that is special, that blows you away. But he's like people may get mad at me for this comparison. He's like the Draymond Green of quarterbacks. He does everything pretty well. Very accurate. Good, not great arm, but good arm. Mobile enough in a league with tons of mobile quarterbacks. He'll pass. He'll pass more than Jared Goff. Love Jared. Pass more than Jared Goff. Pass more than Tua. Smart. Coachable. All the qualities you can want in a franchise quarterback. That's it. That's Brock Purdy. Do I think he's the front runner for MVP? Absolutely not. I don't think he's close to as valuable to the 49ers as Dak Prescott is to the Dallas Cowboys. Dak has CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of guys. Let's be honest. Brandon Cooks, journeyman. Jalen Tolbert struggles to get on the field. Michael Gallup, wash. Jake Ferguson, fine, not great. Offensive line aging. Dak's far more valuable to Dallas than Purdy is to San Francisco. But like I keep saying, the only weakness of the 49ers is a conditional weakness. In that, when playing from behind, 2 scores behind, this offensive scheme, the system, even at times the quarterback, not always built to come from behind. But when they've got you down, you can forget about it. Move on to next week. Get your game plan ready. Philly, get your game plan ready at halftime for Dallas next week because it's over. When you have a pass rush that can do what they can do getting to the football, getting to the quarterback as consistently as they do. When you have an interior defensive line and linebackers that can stop the run as well as they do. When the linebackers cover as well as they do. When you have an offense that, when they get a lead, just give it to Christian McCaffrey, left side, running behind Trent Williams. Unfreaking stoppable. Get it to George Kittle on a big 3rd down and 7. Run it or throw it to Deebo Samuel. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to throw it to Juwan Jennings, you can do him. He stiff-armed a guy for a touchdown. You want to throw it to Brandon Ayuk, who has multiple 1,000-yard seasons on his resume. You could do that as well. This team, if every single team, if all 32 teams in the NFL played to their absolute full potential, nobody can beat San Francisco. None of them. When they're playing from ahead, you say, well, Bryce, they played from behind. Yeah, but it was 6-0. I mean, let's be honest, 6-0 is not exactly, if I can't trust you to come back from 6-0, you probably have some deeper issues than we initially thought. So San Francisco, and props to them, props to their defense who really kind of set the tone, because if you look at what Philadelphia did, first couple drives, they were moving it, man. They were moving it, man. Down the field, got down in the first drive to the San Francisco 8. They settled for a field goal. Next drive, got down to the San Francisco 21, close to the red zone. Again, had to settle for a field goal, and it was 6-0. So after not really doing anything offensively, despite the fact the Eagles were moving the ball at will, San Francisco looks up. It's 6-0. We're fine. We can just turn on the Jets. And what did the Niners do a couple drives after that? 11 plays touchdown, 10 plays touchdown, 7 plays touchdown, 5 plays touchdown, 12 plays touchdown, 2 plays touchdown. Next drive, they took a knee to end the game. There is no team, if both teams are playing at their best, that can knock off this football team in the San Francisco 49ers. I firmly believe that. I've said they're the best roster in the NFL all season long. I still believe that. And again, do I think Brock Purdy, is he in the MVP discussion? Yes. But again, it's hard for me to say you're the MVP when I don't believe you're the most valuable player on your own offense. I think that's Trent Williams. Okay, when Trent Williams plays, this team is virtually unbeatable. Same can be said about Christian McCaffrey. That said, you plug a top 12 quarterback into the system. This is what we always lamented with Jimmy G. Like, man, this Niners roster's loaded. Not great at quarterback, though. Imagine if you plugged, like, Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff into this lineup. They'd be even better. Well, that's essentially what they have, except Brock Purdy is younger, less expensive, and more mobile than those guys. What can you say? We still got a long season to go. I'm not going to sit up here and act like it's a foregone conclusion. Listen, if there's anything we know about pro sports, there are no such thing as a foregone conclusion. Nothing. We're only in week 13. Super Bowl's 2 months away. There's a lot of football left to be played. But as currently constructed, fully healthy, nobody can beat this team when they're playing at their best. Dominant, highly impressive win by the 49ers, who, by the way, this season, when you look at what they've done, we all generally agree. We certainly agree that the top 2 contenders in the NFC, not named San Francisco, are Philadelphia and Dallas. With respect to my Detroit Lions, and I'm not a Lions fan, I just bought into them to make the NFC title game. Don't feel so good about that today, but with respect to that team, Dallas and Philadelphia is the only team with a prayer's chance of knocking off the 49ers in the playoffs. That's it. It's as far as it goes in the NFC. Let's add an AFC team that if they win tonight, people are like, oh, they a contender. Well, if they win tonight, they'll be the 1 seed. Evidently, they're doing something right, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay? How about this? The Niners have played those teams. They played Dallas. They played Philadelphia. They played Jacksonville. They beat those teams by a combined score of 118-32. Those are teams with top 10 quarterbacks. In the case of 2 of those teams, Dallas and Philly, top 5 quarterbacks, great coaching staffs, and they embarrassed them. 2 of them on the road in Jacksonville and Philly. Unbelievable. That is, listen, I would not, there's a reason the Niners were favored clearly on the road. I don't know how you can't be impressed with what they did yesterday, and I honestly don't know if there's an argument today. As much as I buy into Dallas, and I'm just going to stick with my pick of them getting to the Super Bowl, and as much as I love what Philadelphia is doing, in particular Jalen Hurts, it's almost impossible to make an argument that either of those teams are better when you consider both of them played San Francisco and got the doors blown off of them. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.